Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen. I love talking to creative people, and today I have 5 creative people, and they're all from the web series Open to It, the new gay web series. It's showing now on Out TV. It's about a couple that opens things up, and I have 5 of the gentlemen that worked on the show. We have Frank Arthur Smith. He plays Greg on the show. He's also an executive producer, a writer, and he directs an episode. We've got Matt Hartman. He's an executive producer. He directs an episode as well. We've got Greg Wolf, who is also an executive producer and directed several episodes. And then we've got the other actors who act alongside Frank. We've got Tim Wardell, who plays his boyfriend Cam, and Jason Caceres, who plays Princeton, the boy toy that comes into their lives and stirs things up. So we play a couple of rounds of You Don't Know My Life with them. We ask them a lot about the show. The thing that struck me the most watching it is that it's just got such a fun attitude around sexuality, which is something that my generation just, we had a lot of other stuff going on. So it was refreshing to watch this and go, oh, it can just be fun. It doesn't have to be life and death, literally. And they, in person, interacting with each other, have that same thing. It's just another reminder about how art and creativity and doing stuff brings people together. People love being a part of something like that. So it was really fun to talk with them about the project and play the game. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that this podcast, Dennis Anyone, is brought to you by Liquid Paper. No, it's not. I don't have any sponsors. It's just me, but I love doing it. So if you like it and want to help support it, keep it going, there are 2 things you can do. You can go to DennisAnyone.net and you can donate to my virtual tip jar, help me cover my expenses like web hosting and things like that. Or you can become a subscriber to DNR Studios. I'm part of a group of shows under the DNR banner, and for a low monthly subscription price, you get my show early, and you get all these other great shows. So you can learn about that at dnrstudios.com. All right, before we get to the game with the guys from Open to It, there have been a few folks that asked me about my dog Enzo. In the last episode, I talked about how he had gotten really sick after the exterminators came. Both of our dogs did. My roommates and mine got really sick. Ended up in the emergency room and all kinds of stuff. Well, the saga continued from there, at least for Enzo. Gretel, my roommate's dog, started to get better. Enzo needed to have surgery on Friday. So he had all this stuff in his stomach from trying to self-soothe, and they had to remove it. They couldn't get out any other way. So I'm going to give you a little more detail on that at the end of the podcast. So stick around for that. But he's doing okay. And here now are the guys from Open to It. Joining me now from all over Los Angeles, it's the team behind the web series Open to It. We have got Frank Arthur Smith, who plays Greg. He's also one of the executive producers, and he directed an episode 4. We've got Matt Hartman. He's an executive producer as well, directed episode 5. Jason Caceres, you play Princeton, the misunderstood Princeton. Welcome. Tim Wardell, you play Cam, and we've got Greg Wolf, executive producer, and you directed several episodes. So welcome, guys, to the podcast. We're going to play a game.
Great. Awesome. Thanks for having us.
All right. So that people can get a feel for who each of you are, I'm going to ask you all a few individual questions. So Frank Arthur Smith, you play Greg. You also one of the producers. How did this all begin? Because I get the feeling like you might have been right there at the beginning.
Sure was. It came out of, my brain space, because so many of the gay media we have out there can trend a little sad and heavy. And I was like, I really enjoy comedies, especially comedies that make me laugh. So I was like, what if we did that? And what if we also did something really sex positive? Because especially when it comes to like polyamory, that is often portrayed in a very like heavy way. And like, it's the sort of engine for all the couple's misfortunes. And I was like, what if they just like really love one another, and it is just silly the situations they get into, but they're built on a foundation of love. And fortunately, I found a bunch of collaborators, several of whom are here on the chat, who saw it, got it, and elevated it, and I couldn't be happier.
Oh, well done. All right. Well, Matt, how did you get involved, and what appealed to you about the project?
Well, Frank is my fiance, so I kind of was
interesting. So there might be is there real stuff going on? All right, continue.
So
the plot thickens is my point.
I wasn't dragged into it as much as like seeing the wheels turning and trying to make sure that the wheels kept turning in the background, and then eventually I became in the foreground as a director and producer. So kind of just the person that helps solve the problems that come along the way of any production.
Here's a question I often ask people that are like close to the production and around it. Did they have to shoot in your house? Were there cameras in your house?
I am literally in the set. Yeah.
It's always how it goes. It's always how it goes. Yeah. And thank you on behalf of all filmmakers everywhere. Thank you to all people like you. Greg Wolf, you're an executive producer and you directed several episodes. How did this project come to you and what appealed to you about it?
Let's see. So Frank and I are on a similar, like a same message board, kind of, like a gay Hollywood, message board. And I saw that he was looking for a director and it sounded really interesting to me, the premise. So we just kind of chatted and we really vibed and connected. And I kind of talked about my vision a little bit for it and whatnot. And then that was really like how it started. We just really connected that way mentally. I think our senses of humor are really, really similar. And we both laugh, we both crack each other up. And so we had a lot of fun throughout the whole process making it. So that's kind of what attracted me to it. And everything he just said about his intention with this series and why he wanted to make it and everything is something that I really connect with as well. So I love comedy and I'm just about spreading, gay joy and sex positivity in a really fun, lighthearted way. So all of that combined was just like, let's make something special.
I love it. First of all, I'm intrigued by this message board. I didn't know this existed. Maybe my husband's on there and I just don't know it. I got to figure that out. I got to learn about that.
Think like gay mafia with a fraction of the power. Like
right. Exactly. Which Starbucks are you going to? Yeah, exactly. But Greg, you pop up in a cameo, if I'm not mistaken. You show up. Is that right?
Oh, yes. I am the Thatcher. Yeah. I play a PhD student.
Yeah. Typecasting.
I love like as like a producer or director in something, I love having like a little cameo. My Hitchcock moment, so to speak.
Why
so
not?
that was that.
And for some insight, Greg's character wears my real clothes and my character wears Matt's real clothes. So that's how the fashion goes.
That's really interesting because your character dresses more like Matt than you've decided.
Very much so.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. Let's talk to Tim, who plays Cam, who is part of the main couple that opens things up. What appealed to you about the project?
Well, kind of tapping on what everyone else was just saying, I loved the fact that you have this couple who truly love each other, but they want to explore and they want to find different parts of themselves. And I loved that it was this positive message that you could have different types of relationships. And, often you see polyamorous relationships kind of seen as like that's their last leg because they're opening it up, so they're trying to do something different before it ends, and that's not the case here. Although there are obviously some dramatic moments where you don't know if they're going to make it or not, but at the end of the day they still really love each other and they're kind of going on this journey together, and that's what I loved about it.
In the first episode you have a belch that is fantastic. Really, one of the best screen belches. Please tell me it was live and real and not like an overdubbed thing. Don't shatter my dreams, Tim.
It was. No, it definitely was real.
Yeah.
There was some soda guzzling before.
Right.
Sure. We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. No, whether or not it was, the moment worked great. So
good.
Kudos to the team. And finally, we have Jason, who plays Princeton, who comes in the middle and mixes everything up. So, Jason, tell me what appealed to you about the project.
Not to reiterate what everyone else has said, but a lot of gay media does kind of trend a little dark, as Frank was saying. And what I liked about this is that it's funny, it's raunchy, it doesn't take itself seriously at all, and Princeton is a very liberating character, and I had a lot of fun exploring that side of myself. So I was really drawn to that.
Well, you do blue hair at a certain point, and I liked it. I was into it. Was that a choice for the character, or did you just happen to have blue hair when you were shooting that episode?
Princeton's hair color changes every 3 episodes. So
oh, okay.
Episodes, I was blonde. That's
in your contract?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I
like it.
If not, I quit.
Yeah.
But it's just very symbolic of the struggle that his character is going through internally. And you'll have to stay tuned for what 2 fun colors we have coming season 2.
Ooh, all right. What's the deal with season 2? Is that on the way?
Season 2, so we have half of it fully edited, episodes 7 through 9, and 10 through 12 we've just filmed and are editing now. So we'll be doing film festivals later this year, and that'll be out either end of the year or beginning of next. But if you enjoy all of season 1, don't worry, you don't have to wait that long. We're filming a Pride special at the end of February, which will be out in June.
Look at you guys crushing it. Something that you all alluded to, and something struck me. I'm older than you guys. In my life, sex was never not fraught with something. It was always a little, my age, and we get it. We get all of it. But what I found so refreshing about your web series is like, oh, it's just fun. It can just be fun. No, but in my generation, even if you could lean that way, it was like, yeah, but you better watch out for this. Or like, there was always like, it just can't be fun. It just can't be only fun. It has to be, and so this has a different spirit. I think part of it is a generational thing, but I found it really interesting. I was like, oh, wait, they got to pay for that. They're just having too much fun. This just can't be, a little, like we have a little, make-up talk and then we're back to good. No, there has to be, somebody must die is the point. That's not your story, and I appreciated that. I noticed in the credits you had an intimacy coordinator, and the sexual scenes are really, they go for it. You go for it. And there's one at the end. A lot of them are kind of comedic, and then there's one at the end that's more serious, I guess, in its depiction. I don't want to ask the dumb, what's it like to shoot a sex scene question, but I would like to know what your vision was for those, and what it was like to work with the coordinator, and what was the experience like for the actors to approach a story that had this as such an important part of the story.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely give our intimacy coordinator, Wes Frisbee, so much credit because he's credited as Micah Martinez, which is a professional name, because he is just so lovely. First of all, as a person, he makes everybody feel comfortable, and he comes from an adult film background, so he's able to first of all, make sure everyone's feeling comfortable, but also be like, nope, that looks wrong. Nope, no one's going to believe it.
No one believes that the thing is going in the thing. If you're there, you have to be over here, or it's not going to look like right.
We even were talking about doing a wheelbarrow for season 2, and he's like, let me explain to you why that's going to be a little complicated. So we ask him the tough questions, and he gives the tough answers.
I think I know what a wheelbarrow is, but I'm afraid to clarify it because it'll make me look lame. So I'm just going to, just like with the burp, I'm going to go with what we've all agreed on. For the actors, was there a moment where you go, oh, I'm really glad this person is here? Can you think of a moment where you're like, oh, this really cleared this up or made that? When were the moments where you were like, oh, thank you, that helps a lot?
Oh my God. Wes was amazing. Honestly, every sex scene when he was there, I was like, okay, thank God that he's here. I mean, the wheelbarrow scene, obviously, was just like, this is not going to, how does this work? And he was just like, nope, cut that.
We had fun
just
trying.
to know that
You did what you could. Great, Frank. You did what you could. You have to kill your baby sometimes in filmmaking. Isn't that the way it goes?
Yeah. I think the fact that he was so, blunt's the wrong word, but he just was very quickly was like, that would work, that won't. This will work if we do it this way. He was just very technical, I guess, but very caring and loving. And so that made it very easy for me because these were my first sex scenes that I've ever done. So I was a little nervous going in, obviously. I think it helped, and why I said yes to it was the fact that a lot of them are comedic.
Right.
And so it's not like you have to be sexy in this moment. It's more real, to be honest, even though some of them are kind of crazy and out of there. But, sex isn't always just this perfect, beautiful scene. Crazy stuff happens during sex. So I think that's what helped me kind of get over the whole thing and just dive in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Jason, any thoughts about working with the intimacy coordinator and how that was helpful?
I mean, Wes is a wonderful person, and it's always great to have someone on your side on set. I've done a few sex scenes before this, so it was kind of just more routine for me, or okay, well, I kind of know how this goes.
Right.
So oddly enough, every other intimacy coordinator I've ever worked with has been a straight woman.
Interesting.
And most of the sex scenes I've done in my professional career have been gay sex scenes.
Right.
So it was really nice to have someone that understood how that worked.
Right.
In professional and his personal life, because there was always a little bit of a disconnect previously. So it was a wonderful experience.
It was. You're right, Jason. It was nice not to have. Like, he didn't have a filter.
Right. You could be
So
mature and adults, and let's just talk about the thing. Let's just.
Right.
Yeah, we can talk freely about what this is that we're going for here.
Yes, and I really enjoyed that he catered to each actor he was working with. Like for me, I'm a little bit more free with like what the camera sees or what you ask me to do. Just like tell me outright. Don't like, is this okay? How do you feel? But there are other actors that do need that, and he would do that for them. So it's really nice when you're able to match the person that you're working with energy.
I love it. All right, so let's play a couple rounds of You Don't Know My Life. How this is going to work is a question is going to be posed to everybody playing. We're all going to submit an answer on our phones. We're going to present the answer, then take turns guessing who said what, and the winner is the person that gets the most guesses right. So here is the first question we're all going to be answering. What's something you've experienced or witnessed where you thought, only in Weho? So think about that for a second. It's going to pop up on your phone. Type in an answer like you were sending a text, and there are no wrong answers. Now might be a fun time to point out that I also do these You Don't Know My Life games as a corporate team building event. So if any of you have, people in that world, HR or whatever, anyone listening, hit me up at youdon'tknowmylife.com. You don't know my life. All right, we are all in, and now we're going to present the answers. Here we go.
So excited.
I know, it's good. You guys, thank you for being so game, being on time. This is awesome. Okay, here we go. What's something you experienced or witnessed where you thought only in Weho? First answer. A live sex act in the middle of the day in a fitting room while the clerk watched.
Wow.
All right, all you writer types. The square underneath that answer, we call that the hashtag, and we as a group just come up with a cute little headline to help us label and refer to the answer. It could be like perfect fit.
I think it's good. Yeah.
All right, you get the idea. If you have any ideas for these, shout them out. Next up, we have having a woman hit on me at Flaming Saddles and ask, "Are you sure you're not bisexual?" Like we could make sure.
Bye, sweetie.
I like it. I like bye, sweetie.
Bye, sweetie.
That's cute. It's got a little bit of a ab fab flavor, which is
yes.
Let's see.
Hashtag God is watching.
God is watching. Thank you.
Yes.
That's good.
When I do the corporate events, it's like accountants, and they never bring the hashtags like you guys are bringing them. So thank you. All right, next up. At a friend's engagement party, they hooked up with someone in the bathroom at a bar.
Oh my God.
The person being engaged was...
Hashtag I do.
Is this our engagement party?
I do.
Hashtag
We do.
Hashtag
we
I
do.
do.
How about I do everyone?
Everyone, yes.
All right. Is that too judgy? Is that slut shaming? I don't know. Okay.
No.
At the Gay Pride Parade... one year, I looked up to see a gay icon on the balcony of the Ramada Hotel waving to the crowd. Total Evita moment.
Living a Vida Loca.
I like living
Nice.
Evita Loca. You guys are fucking good at this. Okay. Next up, got offered birthday Coke and to be in a porn on my 21st birthday. Just drank their alcohol and left the bar.
Wow.
Birthday bonanza? We're going to do that. All right. And so now the guessing is going to start. And how the guessing works is, Greg, you're going to guess first, and you're going to pick any hashtag other than your own and say who you think it is. So you might say, I think bye, sweetie is Frank, or I think God is watching is Matt. Any hashtag other than your own and who you think it is. And before that person responds, I'll explain what happens next.
Okay. I'm going to choose the bye, sweetie.
Yep.
Hashtag bye, sweetie.
Who do we think it is?
I think it is Jason.
So Jason, if that is you, you say yes, and Greg gets a point. But if it is not you, you have to say the name of our game, You Don't Know My Life, with as much sass as you may be feeling. So Jason, are you bye, sweetie?
You don't know my life?
Well delivered. Thank you. And that is the end of Greg's turn, and it goes to Jason. So it's just going to go around like that till they've all been guessed. So try to keep track in your head of the incorrect guesses so you don't waste your turn. So Jason, it is your guess. Pick a hashtag and who you think it is.
I think birthday bonanza is Tim.
Girl, you don't know my life.
All right. And it goes to Frank. Your guess.
I think hashtag perfect fit is a Jason Rising and a Matt Moon, but I think that one's Greg.
You think perfect fit is Greg. Greg, are you perfect fit?
Girl, you don't know my life.
Wow, this is harder than I thought.
We need to hang out more, you guys.
I know,
Yeah.
right?
Got it then.
All right, Matt, this is your guess.
I think perfect fit is Jason.
Jason, are you perfect fit?
Yes.
Well done. Good job, Matt.
I did it.
When something's guessed correctly, we like to find out a little more about it. So, Jason, what is the story?
I worked at a store in West Hollywood for 2 years. So I was the clerk.
You were the clerk, and I bet it happened. It happened more than you would think.
Okay. In my defense, there were 5 people that worked at that store, and we all have a very similar story. The only thing that switches out is which sex act we witnessed.
Oh,
dear Lord.
But the store was also right next. It was on Santa Monica.
right. It was one of those like sexy underwear stores, like Block Party or one of those.
Exactly.
Right.
And it was open till 1 a.m. So what did you expect?
Right.
Yeah.
It's 1 a.m. So what did you see, and was it hot?
It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
I saw a few different things. I walked in on a coworker also engaging in a live sex act in the fitting room.
Live sex acts, I find, are better than dead ones. But that's just me. It's just me. So
Did you return this underwear to the rack that they were trying on?
right.
We did a few times and people still bought them.
Right, exactly.
wow.
In fact, they might have been even worth more. Okay, Jason, your guess.
Got offered birthday Coke and to be in porn, birthday bonanza is Matt.
Matt, are you the birthday bonanza?
Yes.
Well done. So, okay, paint the picture.
Jason and Matt know each other.
Right. It's your 21st birthday, and where are you?
21st birthday. Where else do you go? The Abbey. I think I was making out with a stranger because it was my 21st birthday.
Right.
And one of the people in the private booth was like, "Hey, I heard it's your birthday. Want to do some Coke?" And it's like, "No, but I see you have alcohol there." And then...
no, but I'd like your watch. Like, I just love how you're perusing the options. Go ahead.
And then that same group then asked if I wanted to be in porn, and I kind of was gathering what was happening, and I just took one last shot and walked away.
There you go. All right, but it was memorable. Frank, did you know this story about your fiance?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Thank you for your honesty, and thank you.
I think this was like a date 2 story, actually.
Yeah. I like it. All right. Your guess, Matt.
I'm going to guess God is watching is Greg.
Greg, are you God is watching?
Yes. How dare you, Matt? How dare you? I feel attacked.
And you know what? The dumbest question that I have is which bushes? I'm trying to picture the bushes. Are they like on the south side?
Oh, it actually might not have been like right
Right.
the Abbey exactly, but it was like one of those bars right there.
Sure.
You know how like there's like some side streets?
Yeah.
It was like, and then there's like bushes, there's like landscaping. It was like there. And
Now, I'm not going to push you to give a lot of details, but was it a positive experience? Is it a fond memory?
It was definitely a positive experience. And to be fair, it was like literally 12 years ago, and it was with someone I was dating at the time. So it wasn't like, a complete stranger, and it's not something I just did last weekend. Sorry, mom and dad. But, I was a young 20s.
Yeah.
Horny little gay boy in Weho, and that seemed fun at the time.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was fun.
Thank you. That's right. It's kind of the point of your miniseries or your web series. Let's go to Tim.
I'm going to say bye, sweetie, was Frank.
Frank, are you bi, sweetie?
Yes, that's true.
Well done.
Whew.
So, Flaming Saddles, you're there.
I remember this distinctly because this has happened exactly twice in my life.
Right.
Once was in Philadelphia at this bar called Woody's, where this woman was like, "Oh, you're so gorgeous." And I was identifying as bi at the time, but I was still like, no. But then in Weho, I was fully like, no, I identify as gay at this point. And she was like, "But are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah." And I'm pretty sure I'd been making out with a friend not moments before. And she's like, "But like, look at me. Look, are you sure? Like, if you want to make out right now." And I was like, I'm leaving. And no, but now I feel bad because she was beautiful. And I was just like, it's not happening though. I'm sorry.
She was willing to test it right there at Flaming Saddles. There it is. All right, Greg, you've got me and Tim left.
Okay, I think Livin' a Vida Loca is Dennis.
You think Livin' a Vida Loca is me, and you would be correct?
Hey.
And the story, it was pretty early in it was in the 90s. And you guys may have heard of this person. I'm sure you have. Okay, so I'm with a friend. We're at the Gay Pride Parade on Santa Monica Boulevard. We look up at the balcony of the Ramada, and there is Katie Lang, lesbian singer, who was one of the first people to be out. Like, I think when this parade was happening, there were a handful of gay celebrities, and she was one of them. And I just remember, the balcony there feeling like a Vita and waving, and it was just a very memorable moment and a moment in time, for sure, for where we were as a culture. Yeah. All right. It can't all be blowjobs and bushes is the point. All right. Tim, nobody gets a point for yours, but tell us about the engagement party.
I was just thinking like, oh my God, am I going to tell this story? I feel bad, but we're not friends anymore and they're not together anymore. So there you go.
Oh, whoa.
So it was at one of the bars in Weho?
One of the bars in Weho. It was their engagement party. A group of us went out. This was years ago, to celebrate. And, another mutual friend walked into the bathroom and saw them stumbling out of the stall together.
One of the grooms was with one of the grooms was hooking up with like a completely random guy
in the stall at his engagement party. They weren't open to it.
Right.
They were in a monogamous relationship. And so then the friend came back, was like, oh my God, what do I do? It was a whole thing. We were in our 20s.
Yeah.
Drama.
Where my mind goes? Like, how much money did I blow on a gift for them? Like, I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe we go back with a Starbucks gift card idea and take that beautiful vase back to wherever.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Now, call me old-fashioned, but I think there are a few moments in even a polyamorous couple's life where I'm like, not tonight.
Not at the engagement party.
The engagement party feels like one of them to me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a time and a place.
Yeah. There it is. All right. That was one of the questions, and we've got another one for you guys. You guys are super fun. So here's the next question. What's something from your own life that would make a good episode of Open to It? That you haven't already mined. All right. Think about that.
I often say what Blanche Devereaux said on Golden Girls. Listen, any resemblance to people, real or fictional, the names have been changed to protect the satisfied.
This is going to be very difficult because Frank and Matt and I have gotten pretty close and they know all my secrets from the past 3 years.
This is season 3 right here.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, you should do an episode where you play You Don't Know My Life and something scandalous comes up and threatens to destroy
the
everything.
Relationship.
Right.
Yes.
You don't know my life.
Here is the question again. What's something from your own life that would make a good episode of Open to It? Here's your first answer. In college, hooking up with a guy who ended up being my TA the next semester.
Tap that ass.
Tap that ass? Is that our hashtag? All right, next up. Being broken up with in the middle of a date, then made to hang out with my ex's friends who said, oh, that means you're single now, and asked me to have a threesome with them, which I did not. Today, I would have. How about instant rebound? Right? We were vacationing on Provincetown, and I met a guy at the bar. We hooked up on the bar, in the bathroom, back at his place. Then he walked me back to my place, but we hooked up on the sidewalk on the way back, in an alley, and on our backyard patio while everyone else was inside.
Sometimes it just be like that.
That's what.
Pound
Town. How about P-Town, Pound Town?
P-Town, Pound Town.
Thank you. That's solid. You guys do an episode where you go to P-Town. I like the geography. I want a map of that. Okay, next up. Was dating a guy who had a bowl of billiard balls on his coffee table. And on a date one time, I told him I liked them as a design choice. And he then told me about the time he shoved a bunch of them up another guy's ass.
Hole in one.
Hole in one. Wrong game, but that's fine.
It's okay. It works.
Sports.
All right. Thank you. Next up. Had a rebound hookup with a closeted guy that humped my leg and made weird noises during sex. Frank, are you taking notes for you guys' scripts? I hope so.
This one?
Yeah.
Doggy style.
Doggy style?
Doggy style.
I like it. All right. And finally, had a sex date with a married man whose dog wouldn't leave the bed and kept watching us as we were hooking up.
Doggy style.
Doggy Style Part 2.
Doggy Style 2.
Wow.
How about Doggy Style, the sequel?
Oh my God.
That does say Doogie style, though.
Oh, God damn it. Neil Patrick Harris is fucking ruining my life. All right. And now it is time to start the guessing. Greg finished the last round out, so let's let Jason start this time. Jason, pick any hashtag and who you think it is.
I'm going to guess that hole-in-one was Frank.
Frank, are you hole-in-one, the billiard balls?
You do not know my life.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
I want that to be my story.
And it goes to Frank. Your guess.
Doggy style is Tim.
Tim, the original Doggy Style. Tim, are you the original Doggy Style?
You do know my life.
It is you.
Nice guess.
So closeted and sounds.
It was like it was after a long relationship, my first hookup after a long relationship. My friend like forced me to do this basically to get over this guy. This guy took me home, and yeah, he like weirdly he wrapped his legs around my leg, kind of shimmied down like where his head was on my chest. He wrapped his legs around my one leg and was just doing these like weird quick humps and making a weird noise like nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. It was the weirdest. It was so traumatizing.
Well,
and
also you were very vulnerable.
frozen.
You were very vulnerable having come out of, you're like, oh, I'm back out in this. This is what I have.
Yeah,
It was really
This is
rude
like,
of
oh,
you.
great.
It was really rude of your friend to hook you up with someone from Sesame Street.
Unless it's going to be Oscar, because Oscar, he knows how to fuck.
Oscar.
But
For sure.
He's DTF.
Yeah, it wasn't Oscar. No, it was pretty traumatizing.
All right, Frank, you got that right. And let's go to Matt for the next guess.
Instant rebound is Greg.
You don't know my life.
It is not Greg. All right. Tim, your guess.
P-Town, Pound Town was Jason.
Jason, are you P-Town, Pound Town?
I feel like that was the easiest one.
That night you were the easiest one.
Jason, you are living the dream. You're living the dream. What was the guy like? What was he like?
Oh my God. He was one of the most beautiful men I've seen in a very long time. He was, 6'3"?
He was very tall.
Blonde, very athletic. I was vacationing in Provincetown with Frank and Matt, which is why I knew.
So you guys saw this person. Did you see the
I thought you were like, we saw this happen. I was like, no, but we heard reports from other people. They were like, do you know what your friend was doing last night? I was like,
So you guys were like on a sex scavenger hunt where it's like you have to do it on a bench. You have to do it on a patio. You have to do it on the corner. Like you kind of were checking boxes, it sounds like.
Kind of. And then the next morning we were both like, we were having flashbacks. And at one point I was like, wait, 2 people stopped and watched. Did they have cameras? And he was like, no, I don't think they did. I was like, okay, good. And then I couldn't get into our house from the backyard patio because I forgot the code and I was a little drunk. So I walk in and Matt's awake. And he was like, oh, you finally got it. I was like, you heard me struggling with the code and didn't help? He's like, that's correct.
That's correct. Matt, were you like, were you like, your mother and I are worried sick about you? Were you that guy?
I think we knew enough that we knew the shenanigans that were happening. We did not know the geography that would happen, but we knew that things were happening, and his punishment for worrying us was getting locked out. Yeah.
Getting locked out and having to figure out the code. I want to go back to this answer. I just reread it. You hooked up on a bar?
On that's where it started. On the bar in front of
people.
Masses. But then we were like, let's be a little bit more private. Let's go to the bathroom.
All right. And there it started. All right. I support it. Great episode.
It's sort of like if you've seen Killing Eve, like how in the 3rd episode she like stabs that guy in front of the crowd. It was like sort of like there's stuff happening in front of everybody, but nobody noticed.
Yeah. Your intimacy coordinator has their work cut out for them. Let's just say that, figuring that one out. Matt, your guess.
I am going to guess that Doggy Style, the sequel, is Greg.
Greg, are you Doggy Style, the sequel, with the man whose dog wouldn't leave the bed?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh, no.
Wow. All right. So the dog was on the bed with you.
The dog was on the bed the whole time. And it was like sitting at the corner, just like side-eyeing me the whole time. Yeah. Like, who are you? Like, I know you're a stranger.
And what are you doing? Yeah.
what am I doing?
No, like the dog is like, what's happening? And they must have been a little like.
Well, I have this. I mean, I think dogs know, like they know, like, oh, there's something like primitive and sexual happening.
Yeah.
Like they like know, and they pick that up. So I could tell that he knew that we were doing something,
right,
and was giving us that space, but just kept staring at us. And I just, it's just one of my biggest pet peeves is when like a dog is really in the room, but even worse, like on the bed. It just feels like they're kind of part of it, and it just like makes it like really, really turns me off. So I just like could not stop. I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah, they're judging you. They're like, you call that a deep throat? Okay.
Exactly.
It's not. You don't want those eyes on you is the point. But it would make a great episode. I agree. Was it a one and done with that guy, or did you see him again?
It was a one and done, but open to the future.
Sure.
As long as no dog.
No dog. But he was good. He was good. All right. I like it. Tim, it is your guess. There are 3 left.
I'm going to say Tap That Ass is Matt.
Matt, the TA. Is that you?
Yeah.
Yes. So he ended up being the TA the next semester. So what was that moment like when you were like, oh, hi?
Surprising. I did get an A in the class. We didn't sleep together again. But yeah, it was like we both just didn't acknowledge it. And we learned each other's name for the first time, which is also nice. So.
Right. You didn't know their name before.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. But it was it was good. It wasn't super awkward. It was all good.
Yeah, I think we just both like silently agreed to just never address the fact that it happened.
Yeah.
And just move on with our lives.
Sure. Why not? Sometimes that's the best move. All right. So it's Frank and I are left. So we're going to go and skip me, and we're going to let Greg guess.
I think instant rebound is Frank Arthur Smith.
Frank Arthur Smith, are you instant rebound?
It is indeed.
It is you.
That is I.
So you got propositioned on the same night as the breakup.
So this was like sad, but also funny in retrospect, because this was the first guy I dated seriously after like my boyfriend of 8 months. And so this was our 4th date. We just had dinner. He'd shown me his paintings for the first time, and we're at the bar, and I was like, oh, so your friends should be getting here soon. He was like, yeah. Just so we're clear before they get here, you and I aren't dating. I was like, excuse me? He was like,
wow.
Yeah, I'd rather have you as a friend. Oh, hey guys, how are you doing? Like moments before they came in, and I'm like, and they were like, so how do you know Vic? And I was like, well, we were dating until a few minutes ago. And they were like, oh, so you're single. My boyfriend and I are open. And I was like, at the time, I was just like, I want none of this. Absolute. What a moment. But now I would be like,
yeah, why not?
Let's do it.
What a compliment. That's such a compliment.
So when I read the answer, I thought, oh, they took him aside later and said, come on with us. They did it right in front of the guy.
The moment they met me, actually, like,
wow.
We're open was one of the first 3 sentences out of their mouths.
Wow, there it is. All right. And you know what? One location. Easier to direct and produce. You guys know,
Amen.
right? All right. So the billiard ball story is mine. I always thought it was actually a Valentine's Day date, and I always thought they were cool, like a cool thing. I like kitschy things like pinball machines and billiard things and jukeboxes. Like I like that whole aesthetic. And we were on a date, and I knew that it wasn't the right fit for me. I knew I needed to end it, and somehow that came up, and I said, "Oh, I think that's so cool that you have those. They're just such a cool little centerpiece." And he goes, "Yeah." And then he told me about the time and I was much younger then, and I was more not very sex positive. I was more like, judgy about stuff like that than I am now. And I was like, I can't break up with him. I'm going to hurt his feelings. I can't do it. And then he told me that story, and I was like, maybe I can figure it out. I can figure out how to do this. But
is that the excuse you gave him for the breakup?
No, I didn't. But it was kind of the thing that. Oh, and here's the other part. I forgot about this part. So it was the night after this, and I was staying over there, and I knew I had to end it. I knew I did. Because it just wasn't a right fit. And so I couldn't sleep, and I go out and sit in the living room, and I'm looking at the balls. Like Meg Ryan, like in a movie, like, what am I going to, like just there, as a prop, I feel like they really packed a punch. Again, that's a production thing. But, the billiard balls, I always think about that, and I was a little judgier than I should have been about it. A little bit more like, But it was also weird to bring up where and when he did. So there's that. All right.
I think it's the fact that it's on the coffee table. Like,
just
like it's like a fine book of fine art. It's like, that's not,
Yeah.
That's the thing that's a little odd about it.
Right. You know, it looks cute. It's like it would be on a design show like on HGTV. Look at this wonderful accessory. And you know what else you can do? Shove them up people's asses.
See, I love this story because it's very much a Chekhov's balls, because once you mention that in the episode, the minute anyone wanders next to those balls, you're going to wonder what happens next.
Something's going to happen with that. You know, it's like that
I think
loaded
one's
gun.
missing.
Yeah, I think one's missing. Really? I mean, I think season 4 just writes itself with once you get the
By
balls
the
in
end
the
of the
mix.
episode, they're all gone.
All right. Before we find out who won the game, there's a couple more things I want to ask you about your show. There's some wonderful drag characters in the show, and I've just discovered that I like looking at drag queens. Like when they pop up, they're like magic people that just show up, right? Are you kind of like, oh, it's more fun when there's drag queens here?
Oh, I mean, to our composer, who's a really good friend, like when Pandora came on, I was like, I don't know, this moment's missing something. And then he was like, no, she's awesome. I was like, no, it needs a sparkle. And so when she appears, there's just a sparkling effect now. I was like, that did it. That's what we need.
Right. There's a little thing on the soundtrack. They do have that kind of magic dust. And you think, okay, drag is too big. It's over. It's done. No, I still can't get enough. I'm all in. All right. Let's find out who won our game. Keep your eye on the player board. We will reveal the scores in 3, 2, 1. Boom. 2-2-2. There's 3. A tie for first between Matt and Tim. Well done, you guys.
You don't know my life.
I got a big 0, and that's okay. Greg respectable with 2, and Jason and Frank 1 each. Not bad. Before I wrap it up, tell us how people can see your web series.
Sure. So the show right now is available several places. You can go to outtv.com. It's also available on the OutTV Amazon Prime video channel. You can access it through Apple, Roku, but basically all those, if you go to our website, opentoitseries.com, we have links to where you can access it, and always will.
And I love that you guys have more seasons coming up. That's exciting. And what have you been hearing from people that have seen it at festivals and things like that? Is there a recurring theme to the kind of comments you get?
Smut. Give us more. No, I think what I'm very grateful for is people do express sort of what you did of, I was surprised how positive this was, and how upbeat, because I feel like when it comes to sex, it's heavy and not always funny, or just bodies, which of course we have too. But, and just the people are willing to kind of have their minds changed has been a pleasant surprise. People have been very kind and saying I felt this way before, but I'm kind of seeing it. And then to make it funny and not all, I'm changing the world, pageanty, people have felt comfortable expressing themselves about their relationships and their quirks after. They'll be like, oh, my husband and I are like, oh man, almost they're like, oh, my husband and I voted for Trump. So,
right. Open people do tend to vote for Trump. No, I don't know. It's not a thing. But it's what I was saying earlier. I grew up in an era where the message sex is fun, that was never a message I ever got until I was 40. It was always, and for reasons that we all understand. So there's just something so refreshing about it. And even playing this game where everyone's like, yeah, I did that. And oh yeah, but didn't you pay a price? No, it was just fun. And yeah, that was it. But you know what I mean? Even the answers you guys gave in this game, it's a different feeling, and there's something really refreshing about it, and I think it's cool that you're depicting it. So
thank you. And I would ask people who hear this episode and are still not sure and are like, I don't know, to maybe go in with an open mind, because I do sense some people almost root for the couple to fail because it's somehow an invalidation of their relationship structure or their past history. But
you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You have to pay. There's gotta be a downside to fun sex. There can't be just a way. It just can't be good.
But different things can work for different people. So
right.
I think I want people to come out of it being either, hey, this seems like something fun to try, great, or I absolutely am not going to do this, but I love that other people can have it. It's okay for people to live differently in that way.
I love it. All right. Before I let you go, I'm going to go around to everybody and ask you the same question. What's a memory of making this project, promoting it, film festivals, anything. What's a memory of it that you'll remember years from now? Jason, what about you? What are you going to remember years from now?
I think for me, and this might be a little sappy, so sorry, Frank.
We love sappy on this podcast. We love billiard balls and sappy.
The first 3 episodes, there was an incident because we were new, we were, learning how to run a production where we lost very crucial footage. And I marked this as the start of our friendship, Frank. And Frank was having a little bit of a meltdown. So I think I took you into the bathroom or the basement or something and was like, let's let it go. We'll reshoot it. It'll be totally fine. We can keep going. And just like helping him go through that struggle kind of brought our friendship closer and then made everything so much more fun going forward.
Yeah.
That's beautiful because you overcame something. Like, I know how stressful productions can be, and time is money and all of that stuff. And there are moments that come up like that. And it sounds like that you really helped everyone get through it. So,
and the reshoot was so much better.
Yeah. Jason handled it perfectly, and I agree. I didn't know him that well at the time, so the fact that he was so caring and thoughtful meant a lot. My memory is actually also from that night. I've got 2, but one's from that night, very different. But all 3 of us, Tim, Jason, and I, had really been working out and watching what we ate to get in shape for the show. And so I took it upon myself, mostly for me, but for them too. I bought us 3 different cupcakes and was like, okay, at Rap, we're just going to eat these 3 cupcakes together. And I
that's the gayest thing I've ever heard in my life. And I fucking love it. So you guys all had cupcakes waiting for you at the end of how many episodes? The first 3?
So this was just the first 3.
Right.
And so I literally, we took a photo of us putting the cupcakes in each other's mouths. And I'm not even sure they finished theirs, but I inhaled mine. And I actually had a lot more dessert that night and felt really, really sick after. But my second favorite memory is was very recent, where we were filming and one of the background actors, who's a friend of mine, looked around. He was being very quiet. And I was like, what is it? And he goes, is there a single straight person on this set? And I was like, I've done it. This is what I lived for, to just create this queer paradise.
I love it. That's very nice and affirming and everything, but let's go back to the cupcakes. What flavor were they?
Mine was carrot.
Ooh, interesting. See, because gotta get the vegetables in there. It's a vegetable.
Yeah, I know. I'm gay, so I have to still have it be a little healthy. I think Jason's was chocolate, and I want to say Tim's was vanilla with chocolate frosting.
I want to say vanilla. I feel like I blacked out. It was so much sugar that I hadn't been eating because I wanted to look good for it.
Right.
I just blacked out after having a cupcake.
That's probably right.
I love the cupcake moments. So who else has a memory that they'll always remember? Greg.
I have 2, but I'll say them quickly.
Go for it.
The first one that comes to mind was just when we the first part of season 1 premiered at Outfest. I thought that was a really special time for us that we all got to share together. And it was just a beautiful celebration where a bunch of people got to see our work on a big screen. And that, I know that was definitely a turning point and a big accomplishment in my career thus far. So that was really special to me. And then in a later episode that will come out later this month, we turned my whole backyard into a restaurant and completely flipped the backyard into looking like a restaurant. And our production designer, Aaron Whitaker, did such a good job, and it looked awesome. And I look at the footage now and I'm just it legit looks like a restaurant.
And now you've opened a restaurant and you're doing quite well. The waits,
exactly.
You can't even get a table.
Exactly. So those are 2 memories that I think there's a ton of memories, but those are 2 that stick out to me.
I love an Outfest moment. I love an outfit. I love a step and repeat. I've had that experience. Is nothing better. It's the best. Matt, what are you going to remember?
In the second season, we have a Christmas episode, and it was an overnight shoot. So energies were low towards the end of the shoot. And Frank and I kind of stepped aside. It's okay, what do we, the crew and the cast are kind of fading. So we blasted Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas and had just a 3-minute dance party. And we powered through the end of that, and we got so much footage that night. And you would never be able to tell that everyone was exhausted. So yeah, the power of Mariah.
Once again, Mariah saves the day. I think that's the theme of all of our lives. Although Cher has a Christmas banger this year. She pulled it off. She's having the last laugh. She looks amazing. She's got a hit record about going dancing on Christmas. I don't know what it's about, but it's great. Okay, Tim.
Yeah, I think mine would be, so my character Cam gets into drag and starts doing drag in the show. And
you look great, by the way.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Just wait till the later episodes. He steps up his game for sure.
Okay, he steps his pussy up, Mariah, as it were. Okay.
Pussy up. But the first time I was very nervous to do it. And then my drag mother is Laganja Estranja. Hello. So I was so paranoid about just like being able to at least come off as somewhat of a drag queen next to her.
Right.
But once I put on the corset, thank you, Matt. Thank God for Matt for getting my look together for me. But once I put on that corset, the wig, the makeup, it was amazing. The power, the magic, like you were saying, like drag queen, it just kind of like, I became this other person. It was amazing. Just remembering that moment. Like,
you surprised yourself with how it felt and how you felt, and the
I felt powerful.
Different side of yourself that emerged. That's really cool. All right, guys, this has been super fun, and I think that sort of captures the spirit of your show, which is also super fun. Congratulations, thanks for doing this, and people need to check out Open to It.
Thanks, Dennis, so much.
Thank you for having us.
Bye, guys. Thanks again to the guys from Open to It. Check out their series on outtv.com. All right, so this happened. I mentioned in the last podcast that both of our dogs, my roommates and mine, got really sick after the exterminators came. So we ended up at the emergency room, and it was a whole thing. And then they started to seem like they were doing better. And then by Wednesday, my dog Enzo was just not himself. I'm like, he is not right. Something is wrong. And I just had this instinct that I needed to go back to the vet. So I was able to get an appointment with my regular vet for the next morning, which was great because they had been so busy. They weren't able to see me during the original stuff. So we go in there. They do x-rays. There's something in his stomach. So they try to induce vomiting. It doesn't really work. So I end up going back to the emergency room. He gets an endoscopy, and they pull out some stuff from the endoscopy, and it's like hair from his tail and like pieces of a poop pad that we had out for the other dog, and just a big mess. But they said that was all they could get, and there's a lot more in there. Long story short, we ended up getting surgery for Enzo on Friday, and they took all of this stuff out of his stomach. So I guess after the toxicity of the extermination visit, he was trying to self-soothe, and he just was like eating stuff like grass, whatever he could. And I noticed some of it, but I didn't notice it to the extent that was in there. Like so much of it is his tail. Like he went to town on his tail. So the surgery went well. He's home recovering. He's in a crate. He's in a cone. He's a little trooper. And, you know, I do my gratitude list, and I kind of have that stuff going. So as this is all unfolding, I'm thinking, okay, what part of this am I grateful for? Oh, I'm grateful that this place is open. And I'm, trying to stay positive. And it actually really helps me. I find that it really helps me. But one of the best things was the emergency care that we went to was really nice. And it's kind of, it's kind of the W hotel of these things. It felt just nice and professional, whatever. And for the surgery, they recommended another place that's a nonprofit called Kinder for Rescue, I think. And anyway, it's in my neighborhood, and it's a nonprofit. And they were able to do the surgery for probably a third or half of what it would have cost at the other place. So I'm grateful that place exists. The people there are really nice. They're doing the Lord's work. And so that's the latest with Enzo. He should be okay. Everything else looks good. We got to keep him from messing up his sutures, and it's been a thing. But if you ever thought about donating to my virtual tip jar to help support the podcast, now would be an excellent time. You can go to Dennis Anyone. You can go to DennisAnyone.net, and there are links to how you can do that. I appreciate it. It could have been a lot more expensive than it was, but I didn't have insurance, and these things just add up and up and up. But he's going to be okay. And that's the important thing. And it's gave me cause to sort of reflect on what he means to me and what I mean to him. And I decided that when he's better, we have to have more adventures because I know he likes adventures. I see his eyes light up. So that's going to happen. And what else? I don't know. There were a couple nights when he was in the hospital and I was like, oh, this is what it's like when Enzo isn't here. And it was interesting to get to reflect on that. And hopefully he'll be good as new very soon. But it was a saga. But I did learn a good nonprofit pet surgery place in my neighborhood. And hopefully I won't have something like this happen again. So, all right, that's enough for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. We'll catch you next time on Dennis Anyway. Bye.